Today, I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about team trials, what it is, what's the angles, how does scoring work, best stats for your Umas, and best skills for your Umas, and much more. And the reason why so many players are dominating there is not all because of luck. It's because they know what scoring areas to go after, how to build their aces around that, and what skills are most effective. And this is one of the hardest things to do, and this is one of the things they don't want you to know. Because if everyone did, the competition would be fiercer for them as well. So let's get you caught up, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Now before anything, you need to understand what makes your Uma gain points in PvP. Because if you understand that, you'll be in a much better position to understand everything else and why we need to do this and that. So the PvP in Uma Musume starts as a series of 5 1v1s, but as you progress, it advances to a series of 5 3v3s following the weekly promotion that grants carats. The first time you reach a new class, you'll get a hefty first promotion reward, and that's a one-time only, a regular promotion reward as well. And if you're stuck in the same class, you get a retention reward. And yep, even a demotion gives you something. But whether you're 1v1 or 3v3, if you win 3 races of the 5 race series, you'll take the win. But a few rules do apply. You can't have duplicate Umas in your teams regardless of their rank, so that means you will eventually need to train 15 unique Umas. And if an Uma has 2 different versions, like Maruzensky and Maruzensky Summer, although they may be different, you can't use both either. From left to right, the race brackets you'll have to build your teams in are sprint, mile, medium, long, and a dirt track as well, since turf is the dominating track type in the others. The dirt races only have mile distance races, and there'll never be a short, medium, or long dirt race in team trials. And when it comes to the results of each race, the results aren't entirely based on winning or losing. You're scored by how many points you achieve, which can be gained through many things, such as not getting a late start, spamming a lot of skills, the best performance Uma of your style, but it's more complicated than that. And once you know and understand this, that's how you'll know what to aim for when you're choosing your legacies and support cards for building your Umas for PvP. So let's break down the scoring system. It has several main components: score modifiers that boost your base points, team-based bonuses, individual race performance, skill activations, and special situational bonuses. Section 1. Score modifiers, the multiplier effect. So let's talk about score modifiers. When you see 10,000 points for first place, that's just the base score. The actual points you receive are much higher due to these modifiers, which are ace bonus, 10% extra, and your ace Umas are the ones that are at the top positions of your Umas team, and they get a flat 10% bonus to all scores. So always put your strongest horse go in the ace position. Again, remember that, and I know you will because it's very important. The next score modifier is opponent rating bonus, and this one's a big one. By competing against stronger opponents, you will get more points, and the bonus is very significant. So that means that you should aim for this, because racing against high rating opponents is the most ideal thing you can do in team trials to get more points. But this bonus will vary widely depending on what rating range you're racing in. I couldn't find the exact data for each range as there's a lot of variance, but we do know that the bonus is around 80% when competing against a 150k score player, which really makes challenging the big dogs worth it. The next score modifier is support bonus, which is small but free. This comes from leveling your support cards. You can see your current bonus over here on the main team trial screen, and it's just going to be a few percentages, but it's 3 points for simply leveling up your support cards, which is something you will be doing automatically anyway. But then again, you should also be mindful not to level up every SR and SSR card you own, as monies and materials are scarce this early in the game. So level up those that you know you can make use of and that aren't part of the meta, like we've covered in our previous videos. The next score modifier is consecutive win bonus, being the win streaks. So it's pretty straightforward. For every consecutive race you win in a match, you get plus 1% per win. So if you win 3 races in a row, that's plus 3% for the 3rd victory. And there's not much more to say about this other than here's a little table that I did for you, but a smart egg like you is going to remember it anyway. Important note though, all modifiers are additive and not multiplicative. So a base of 10,000 plus 20% opponent plus 5% support equals 12,500 points in total. That's it for our score modifiers, and I know you've learned something already. Let's move on to the next. Section 2, team points, working together. So as we touched on earlier, most points to be gained in a match are won by the performance of the Umas that we will get into in a moment, but there are also some other ways to score a few extra points based on your team's accomplishments together. For example, if you win 3 or more races in a match, you'll get a bonus of 10,000 points, and the only score modifier that's going to be applied to that 10,000 points is going to be the opponent bonus that we touched on earlier. So for example, if you're doing a match with an opponent that is in the 150k range, as we said earlier, that's going to give you an 80% bonus, and you win everything by getting at least 3 races in the bag, you'll get a total of 18,000 points as a victory bonus. And that's because 10,000 points plus 80% equals 18,000. And the reason why this is classed as team points, because it takes more than one team to achieve 3 out of 5 race victories, which is all you need to take the win, and then get the 10,000 point score bonus for winning, where you'll also get on top the opponent bonus modifier that will vary depending on which opponent you picked and which range you're in. And speaking of teams, your individual team's overall performance in each race does matter as well. For example, if all 3 of your Umas take 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, you'll get a trio bonus which grants you an extra 5,000 points, and this is exactly why Uma PvP builds and team building is important. Think about it. If you pull that off in all 5 of the races, that's an extra 25,000 points. And actually, you don't even have to go that far, because there's a slightly reduced version where if all Umas are placed in the top 5, they'll get 4,000 points, which is still great because if you pull that off, it's 20,000 points for 5 races. But yeah, just note that you can only get one of these bonuses per race and not both. So if you got 2 Umas in 1st and 2nd, but another is in 4th, you'll get the top 5 bonus of 4,000 points and not the 5,000 one. Section 3, individual race performance. Now we've made it to the less complicated section, which is the bonus points based on where each Uma ended in the race they're in. I made a table for this with the points you'll get for each position, and this is what we call final position points. And there's not much point me reading that out, so yeah, you can just have a look at it here. But that's not all. There is a second part to this that gets calculated and is known as 1st and 2nd place difference. And this is when an Uma finished her race in 1st place, she would just basically get another bonus, and this one will depend on how big of a margin she won by, which is measured by the difference between the 1st and 2nd place. Tight and strange part of scoring, but for a good reason. The scoring on place difference basically favors either very close calls when it comes to races or complete domination. I made a table for you here which is self-explanatory, so we're not going to go into it. You could just have a peek at it. And to put it in simple terms, the game can calculate and will reward nail-biting finishes between Umas or simply complete domination. Section 4, skills and activation rewards. Let's make this simple. Every time your character activates a normal rarity skill, you will get 500 points. For a golden rarity skill, it's 1,200 points. So golden skills are actually worth more than 2 normal skills points-wise. Pretty straightforward, right? So now it's time for you to learn about unique skills in team trials, because they're the best things when it comes to building an Uma for PvP. And I'm not talking about the unique skills that get passed down through your legacy with green sparks. I'm talking about the unique skill that belongs to the Uma that you're running. And I might as well say this now, green spark unique skills when activated during team trials count for 500 points, just like normal skills. But when it comes to an Uma's unique skill in team trials, there are things you must understand about unique skills in order to build the best Umas for PvP, and we'll cover that right now. And I guarantee this is going to stick with you because you're going to immediately realize just how important this is for team trials. So let's take a look. So here's a table I made on unique skills and the points they yield in team trials. And this is based on the Uma star rating, which tells us if the unique skill is a lower version, being from an Uma that's 1 to 2 stars, or a true version, which is any Uma above 3 stars. But not only that, as you can see, your Uma's unique skill level matters as well. But how on earth do you increase your Uma's unique skill level during your career? It's actually really easy. But there are a few things you need to remember about the limits that only vary depending on your Uma star rating. I'm going to explain this to you with visual examples, but in 2 different orders, and I'm doing this because some people will only understand it in one way and others might only understand it in the other way. And I really need you to understand this, so please stick with me. And again, you're doing so well. Now, to level up unique skills during your career, you only got to worry about your fan count during the senior year, being the final year, or we could say the year that's after the classic year. So here's the visual example, and don't worry, I'm going to go through it with you step by step. If you meet the fan requirement of 60,000 fans for turf or 40,000 fans for dirt in early February, that will trigger the Valentine's Day event that will level up your Uma's unique skill for the first time. Then, if you meet the fan requirement of 70,000 fans plus green friendship with the director for turf or 60,000 fans plus director for dirt in early April, you'll trigger the fans meeting event that will level up your Uma's unique skill for the second time. And finally, if you meet the fan requirement of 120,000 fans for turf or 80,000 fans for dirt in late December, you'll trigger the Christmas event that will level up your Uma's unique skill one more time, and that will be the last time. But hold up, that's only 3 levels. So how do we get our unique skills to level 5 or 6 for more points as shown in this table? Your Uma's unique skill will always have a base level depending on your Uma's star level. I'll repeat that quickly. Your Uma's unique skill will always have a base level depending on your star level. For a 1-star Uma, the base level will be 1. So since she can only do 3 events to level up during the career, that will bring her unique skill to a +4 because 1 + 3 = 4. For a 2-star Uma, their unique skill starts at a base of level 2, so they can bring it to a level 5, because 2 base levels plus 3 levels during the career equals 5 levels. And when an Uma starts at star level 3, or graduated to level 3 from the previous levels through star unlock, unfortunately the base begins at level 1 again, and increases as you increase their star level up to 6 star that grants you a unique skill base of level 3. And that's where you'll be able to bring your unique skill to a level 6. So just to explain that the other way around in a short recap, all Umas have a star rating level, and the star rating level will determine what level their unique skill base level will begin at when they start their career. And through their career, as long as these requirements and these specific timings are met, they'll trigger an event that will grant them 1 level each time, up to 3 levels maximum per career. Seriously, well done. You've made it to the final section when it comes to scoring, which is actually the shortest, so stick with me because you still need to know this. The first one is called good positioning, but it's not exactly how it sounds. For this one, your Uma just needs to be ranked first among all others of the same running style. So if she's a pace chaser, she must be ahead of all the other pace chasers, but not all the time. If she's leading her strategy group when entering the middle phase of the race, she gets 1000 points, and if she's leading her strategy group when entering the final phase, she gets another 1000 points, giving her a total of 2000 points. And yep, some skills can help her achieve this depending on your Uma's style, but also race distance. But before that, another special bonus I want to quickly touch on, and it's called beat target time. Now, every racetrack available in team trials has a predetermined time value known as a standard course time or reference time. It's pretty simple. If your Uma is beating the standard time, she'll get extra points valued at 100 points per 0.1 seconds, with an upper limit of 2000 points for 2 seconds. And the last special bonus that you need to understand is strong start. Now, regardless of your Uma's style, all this is for you to score an extra 1000 points here is to get an exceptionally good start right out of the gate. There's also a special bonus scoring called Dark Horse that will grant your Uma 4000 points if she starts the race as the 8th favorite or lower, but finishes in the 3rd or better. So it's a hard one to wish for, but real nice when it happens. Okay, so now that you know everything about scoring, it's time I set you up with a general stat spread for each PvP bracket that you'll be able to use as a reference for your Uma's target stat spread to build within your career. And just like my career build sheets, I'm going to be releasing PvP build sheets specific to each Uma for their stats, skills, best green sparks, and pink sparks, and more. So hit that subscribe button. First, we got the target stat spread and skills for team trials, sprint races. So to keep this simple, stamina around 500 is going to be sufficient for all styles within this sprint bracket. But there are chances for the tracks to be heavy grounds, and you also have the strategic control over that with this item. So if you're worried or you want to bank on that a little, you can put it at 550 instead. Now, the following target stat spread below I'm suggesting is also dependent on what skills you pick for your Uma. So for this one and all the others coming after, just be mindful that this is a general idea, and I will go into much more depth for each specific Uma once I get the PvP sheets out. And you can find my career build sheets completely free on our Discord. Now, I know for some people this kind of stat spread can be unclear, so I also made a stat rating at the side to show you exactly what takes priority for each team trials race category. And this is what it would look like for sprint. Now for the skills, these are general recommendations, as I can't go into details much here because I would have to account for each style, and that would be on the PvP build sheets. Next we have team trials mile races. The goal for all running styles here is 600 stamina without a gold recovery skill, and of course, like we said before, for heavy grounds, if you're worried about that or want to bank on that, you can increase that to 650. And as before, here's the spread with the stats that take priority with the star rating just on the left. The skills I put here are easy to activate within mile races, and the previous skills we mentioned for sprint also have some value as well. But again, we will go into much more depth in this when we do every specific character build sheet. Next we have team trials medium bracket. Now the stamina required for each style here is going to depend greatly on which distance you want to aim for the most, because once you hit the 2000 meters, this is where stamina will be more relevant, but you don't have to go absolutely crazy. And as you can see, 2000 meters is what you mostly see within medium races. So you can make minor adjustments here, but in the end, it's really also going to depend on how many recovery skills you end up getting throughout your Uma's career. But if we go off 2000 meters, your target stat spread would look like this. And as usual, the star rating on the left hand side. As for the skills for medium races and above, it's difficult to make general recommendations here, as we will have to make some adjustments to the stats as well, so we're going to save that for the PvP sheets. Next we have team trials long race bracket. Just like for medium, the stamina you're going to prefer to go through here is going to also depend on how many gold recovery skills you grab, and it's also going to depend on your style, because if you're a pace chaser, you'll be able to get your hands on Gourmand, which is one of the best recovery skills in the game. And with long races, the distance spread is very wide, so you got the chance to get anything from 2500 to 3600 meters. So we need to account for that, but the most common is 2600 meters. So if we go off that and take into account some of the random debuff skills that an Uma might have as well, like Murmur, you'll be aiming for around 1000 stamina for all styles. And for the stat spread, it would look like this. And for our last one, team trials dirt race bracket. When it comes to dirt, you'll most often be racing on a 1800, and because it's a dirt track, it will always be mile races. But we still still need to take into account that it's a dirt track, and your stat spread would look like this. And before we call it off, I wanted to quickly touch on these items so you know exactly what they do. From left to right, sets all your Uma's mood to great and plus 4% to all stats. Weather is changed to be sunny for all races, so good ground is more likely. Weather is changed to rainy for all races, so bad ground is more likely, like heavy ground. All friendly Umas start in the first 3 gates, all friendly Umas start in the last 3 gates, and it also gives a little bit of a speed boost as well. So basically, these 4 items are mainly useful if you have skills that are specific to those conditions, such as green skills, while the Sunday is useful for improving the performance in general through your Uma's mood. That's it. And before we go, I want to give a shout out to our first ever YouTube member, Space Barley. Thanks so much, my dude, and thank you to all of you as well. I see all of you supporting each other in the comment sections. I see all of you working hard also to help people on Discord, and I'm very proud and grateful to have you guys with me. And as usual, let me know in the comment section what you would like to see next. This was Static. Remember to have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.